It's finally here. The second Ghostbusters Frozen Empire trailer. And boy, does it have a lot to show. Now you can see a lot of reviews on a whole bunch of different channels. This review is going to be different because it's going to focus on the props, costumes, and the cosplay angle of this, as much as it is the storyline. Because I make props. And if you notice, some of the Ghostbusters are wearing these elbow pads and others are either weathered or they have dark lines. Little details like that. Is this the next version of the Gizmo? Who knows? Watch the video. There is so much there. And if you're interested in making your own costume or cosplay for Ghostbusters, I'll list below, and at the eye in the video, you can see more on how to make all these different parts of your costume. So you're ready on May 22nd when the movie comes out. So let's go to a top-down shot and get into the trailer. Let's get started because there's a lot to unpack here. Here's the opening scene.
We're gonna need all the help we can get.
Let's get to work.
It's all dark and horny at 12 o'clock.
So it's just basically a flash of what you're going to see.
I've been waiting 40 years for this. They called themselves Ghostbusters. According to these hacks, they saved the world. No eyewitnesses. And who is found to carry the torch?
If you go to this firehouse in New York City, you're going to see this sign up here. When I visited last spring, Maytime, it was right here. So you're not going to see this configuration. I wish they would do that, but it's just the way it is. Otherwise, everything here looks exactly like it does in New York City.
George? Descendants of Egon Spengler. You have a miner hanging out the side of a moving vehicle, firing a laser gun indiscriminately.
Has a proton pack. It's completely safe.
I would say completely safe.
The Ghostbusters are finished.
Okay, so Walter Peck is back. That's great. And you can see that they're going to insult him just like the original Ghostbusters did. Something to point out here is you can see the black spot on the back of the elbow pads, but there's a definition here, and you can see it throughout, where the elbow pads have darkness right here. I would say it's weathered, but it's a little more than that. It's pretty obvious. Otherwise, they're all wearing their gear, and there's a progression of the suits that you can see later on. This one's relatively clean.
Right, well, overruled.
Sustained.
Thank you.
You the weird guy who buys strange old things?
Correct on both counts.
Buddy, you just hit the jackpot.
This is a major prop in the movie. I think you could make this. I want a little more detail, but you could use styrofoam or some sort of plastic ball. It almost looks like a Death Star. Here you got Ray holding it. You'll see this through the rest of the premiere.
What is it?
Better question is, what's inside of it?
Here is the engineering lab that you've kind of heard about. Obviously, it's been around for a while. It's not new. Who knows how many years? Hopefully, they'll get into this as you get into the movie. I'm not sure why anyone would reach in to something that's doing crazy stuff and hold on to it, and he ultimately pays the price here.
The parables tell of an unimaginable evil commanding an army of ghosts.
This is the horns the baddie puts in. You can see the long fingernails. The detail here, I guess that's reacting to the atmosphere and just kind of shedding a little bit of heat as they walk around. Excellent detail.
Evil commanding an army of ghosts. With the power to kill.
All right, there's a lot of discussion whether or not in the other Ghostbusters you ever saw somebody die. If this person is frozen, they're pretty much gone to begin with. But here's the firemen's reaching in to see or what's going on with this character right here.
Killed by fear itself. Like literally scared to death.
And the baddie's horns moving back and forth just looks real wicked. From this point of reference, it's hard to get a sense of how tall the baddie is.
We might be looking at a second ice age.
Flashback to the previous trailer, nothing new here.
We're gonna need all the help we can get.
You can see that he's holding a box, and you'll see later why he's holding a box.
We can get.
Let's get to work.
This is very interesting. It looks like a brand new vehicle. He's on the engineering crew. It almost looks like one of those SWAT vehicles or a UPS truck that's painted black. You get all the side, this side, and the back. Look at that detail there. Some people call this the yellow G-string. I don't know. It looks real interesting to either mod or HasLab will probably come up with a version of this. You can see there's a little detail here. Looks like just some tape from wear and tear. And here's like an insulating hose. So many different details than what you've seen before. I really like this here because Bill Murray comes in with a non-red coat. So that gives all the Ghostbusters out there an opportunity to wear any kind of winter coat, and you're still in the realm of what's going on in the movie. Because those red coats at $1,800 are way, way expensive. Even if you get a knockoff, those are a couple $100s, and so far every one I've found is just too cheap.
Anyhow, Melnitz in uniform. Yeah.
I love the fact that his character recognizes her and gives her a big shout out. Couple things to point out here. First of all, brand new uniform. No kind of wear and tear or aging. This uniform, been around the block, 30, 40 years. So it's interesting that they actually did that. Also, you can see right here is something she's using that's not a proton pack. It's a different kind of tool / weapon for the baddies. Here, she's just got a belt on and it's barely on. It's just kind of sliding down. And here's another detail of what she was holding on to. This looks like it could be built relatively easy, just a bunch of gizmos, and I'm sure we'll figure out what more is going on here. This is a very interesting prop that I'd really like to build, especially if you don't want to invest in a proton pack, or you just got somebody that's maybe like her and just a little more petite, and you just want to give her something unique to use, and the fact that she's going to be a great character for everybody to want to be. This detail is real interesting. This is another proton pack, but it doesn't look like the other proton packs that we've seen. The one that had the yellow guard on it doesn't have it here. And it doesn't look like an old proton pack. So maybe there's 3 or more proton packs. So many different prop opportunities. The little guys are back. Kind of like those. They're a lot of fun.
But there's something strange.
It's amazing how happy they are as they destroy themselves. They're so cute, so many different ways, so evil. This is like a spud, and you look at it and you're like, okay, why put something like this in here? Maybe it's part of the baddie or a scout for the baddie, who knows? And it looks fairly easy to build.
There's something weird. What are people gonna call?
Ghostbusters, what do you
That's great. He's still grimacing when he turns on the proton pack, and you would think he'd be happy. And I love the detail of the YMCA shirt here. Just amazing level of detail they're going into on this movie.
We're the Ghostbusters. Can I tell you something else? What? Buster makes me feel good.
This is great too. It's kind of annoying for her. It's interesting because it's a shout out to the old movie, and this is their world. So the fact that they're referencing the theme song for the original movies, in a sense, it really doesn't deserve to be in the movie.
Makes me feel good.
I remember the lions in the previous movies, in 1 or 2, kind of reacting, so it's interesting that they brought that back. As well as the ghost in the library again. All these shout outs to the old movies. Here's one of the engineers shooting at the baddie by herself. And the scene is hard to understand. Maybe it's the engineering lab. There's so much in here. She's wearing a black flight suit. I'm pretty much convinced. When the guy went in to pull the ball out, he also had a black flight suit or a black coveralls, and he had a coat on top of that. And you can barely make it out, but if you watch it long enough, this is the engineering patch. So it really sets up another great costume, and I think I'm going to do it. Black flight suit with an engineering patch, because I'm an engineer. Okay, we saw this in the previous trailer. Nothing new here, but it's still nice to see it. Here you see Bill Murray with sunglasses on. And it looks like it's a dark scene. Almost an homage to the Blues Brothers.
Heads up. It's all dark and horny at 12.
One of the things, you can barely see her, but I'm glad nothing happened to her, because in the previous trailer, it looked like she was freezing to death. This is probably towards the end where they're trying to take the baddie out, and she's back in play. She looks like she'll be a really interesting character.
Dark and horny at 12 o'clock.
And here we get to see the baddie. This seems like it's from the beginning of the movie again, when they're chasing this, I don't know what you want to call it, snake-like creature, and it's coming back at them. Coming out of Ecto-1 quadcopter trap. That's way, way cool. And you can see it's going up. And the great thing about this is you kind of know what's going to happen, and you're waiting for it, and you're waiting for it. I think his reaction is just priceless. It's almost like Slimer is there, kind of like he was in the animation series, where he's kind of a pet almost in the firehouse, and they kind of expect him to be there because he doesn't get upset, he doesn't get shocked. It's like it's happened to him way too many times.
Yeah.
Can't wait. And another great end piece with the baddie on the Brooklyn Bridge. This is just a classic New York scene. It's real interesting. Looking forward to this a lot.